Welcome, everyone, to Dig on America, a socio-political podcast where every week we give you the dig on U.S. history, politics, policy, and sometimes pop culture, and discuss how they affect social issues today. DOA is an independent media supported by listeners.
So, Delvin, you had your 200th episode recently. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
It's important for us to give each other our flowers while we're here instead of feeling bad about it. Feeling salty about it and holding that resentment for the rest of our lives because we've never congratulated our brothers on splendid achievements. So thank you and congratulations. What was your 200th episode about?
Oh, just regular conversation, right?
Brian knows me very well because me and Brian has always had these conversations. So
it was about the latest Marvel film.
I wish. So I figured, hey,
Wonder Woman 1984.
I do not like that movie.
Which actually,
that movie is awful.
It was such a letdown.
All right, so
to give everybody a heads up what I was talking about, episode 200, I wanted to have a conversation about the N-word. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to take people from different cultures, different backgrounds, all from America, and get their impression on how they feel about the N-word for the first time they heard it, how they feel about it being used in pop culture, and just every little facet of that. So, to be clear, this wasn't supposed to be my episode 200. But
what?
This is the fact. I started recording for this in January.
Yeah.
That's how far ago I started recording for this. And I ended up recording over 10 hours of video footage.
Guess who didn't get an invite?
That's messed up.
I will get to that in a second.
You're getting interviewed right now, in fact.
No. This is the whole thing about it. When I started doing this project, one of the hardest things I had to wrestle with was who I was going to interview.
Right.
With the black people, it was easy. I knew that was the easiest thing about it. Like, yo, y'all my people. I kind of know what y'all gonna say. I feel like that conversation me and you guys can have at any point in time.
Right.
Now, when it comes to my white friends, on the other hand, that's a different conversation.
I was pretty shocked not to hear Seamus.
I think Seamus is mad at me, by the way, which is funny.
But you also did you not tell me that there were white people that you talked to that I don't think so, a couple of them, because you talked about what they said, and did they not make the cut? Like, did you leave them out of the show completely?
Oh, some made the cut. Some were, like I said, 10 hours of video condensed to 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff was
we
cut
should
out.
be looking forward to part 2.
Oh yeah.
What I did was
what's the Patreon link so we can get the uncut footage?
I was gonna say,
yes,
you hit it right on the head, Mikey. I put the full videos on Patreon.
Woo! Look at Delvin, make that money.
Link the full videos and audios on Patreon also, so everybody can hear everything uncut. And I think I did that because for multiple reasons. One, my whole idea with doing this thing was I wasn't trying to ruin people's careers. I wasn't trying to get people canceled. I just wanted to have an honest conversation. And with me having these honest conversations, tough topics came up. Things were said that probably shouldn't have been said. And I'm quite sure you heard some of that stuff in this kind of doc thing I did. So it was like, I could put this all out for people to hear the whole conversation and make their own opinion about it. But particularly with one interview, I felt like if I put this whole interview out for everybody to hear, yeah, I would have felt bad because of the ramifications that would have came with that. So I said, so I felt like the best way to do this, and this is my whole idea in the whole beginning process, anyway. I wanted to get kind of a snapshot of America and how they feel about the N-word. That's why I specifically asked certain questions, because one of the things I did notice was everybody loves Quentin Tarantino.
Not me.
But to Mikey's credit, because he doesn't like Quentin Tarantino like that. Quentin Tarantino uses the N-word in a lot of his movies.
Yep.
But it always seems like out of all the directors and out of all the filmmakers and out of all pop culture in general, he gets the pass.
Yeah.
So I always wondered, like, why out of everybody who uses this word, Quentin Tarantino is always the one where people were like, because I can't think of a black person who doesn't love Pulp Fiction.
But I think he kind of gets his N-word pass just because he gets Sam Jackson. You know what I mean? He gets shit, I'm trying to think of other people now. But you know what I'm saying? But he's
Jamie
got
Foxx. He gets a lot of people.
He gets clout. He uses the clout of his actors to kind of let him get away with some shit that he probably, if it was like a bunch of no-name people up there, they would be like, man, if y'all don't get this little crooked nose motherfucker to fuck off this damn thing, like, you know what I'm saying? But because Sam Jackson is there, because Jamie Foxx is there, you got to respect the game. It's like, well, if they say it, I'm gonna let it go.
So
not as much
I have a
as
question.
saying it, but go ahead, Brian.
I'm sorry, Haas.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm just curious. So, Mikey, like I said, I didn't get through all of your segment. Do you feel that? All right, you've already said that you don't like Quentin Tarantino. Do you feel that he's using it as a use for good or evil?
I think I said it. Well, you might have missed the part. I said I really think he just really wants to be black. He just really, he has a real, like, he's a very fetishy kind of person from what I can observe. Uma Thurman, wiggle your big toe for about 45 minutes. Like, come on, bro. We get it. She has feet.
And to be fair, Mikey is another one who kind of said that similar thing. Somebody else said that similar take too. That Quentin Tarantino kind of has this black fetish in terms of like how he popularizes black culture in terms of like Jackie Brown is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He really kind of like, he's fascinated with it. And I think because he's so fascinated with it and kind of delves himself into it so much, people kind of give him the pass.
Because it's not done out of malice. I think it's done out of as an endearment or a longing for, like, he wants to be. So it's weird to me, but I don't think it's malicious. Like, he's not fucking what's his face? I can't think. Well,
David Duke.
Yeah, he's not David Duke in it. And shout out to Kramer, yo. Them brothers was giving him a hard time. He thought he was cool for a second. He wasn't. Shout out to Kramer.
Dude, I was about to say, how are you going to give a shout out to Kramer but not Quentin?
Kramer got mad and them brothers was heckling him. I get it. I've done things on stage. I get that people can get your craw going, and he thought
he got to be better than that though, man.
Yeah, they got him, and it's like, damn, Kramer.
Yeah, that was a rough one for me. I love Seinfeld. So
right.
God damn it, man.
I saw his episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry, and they addressed it, and it kind of explained it, and he said, "Yeah, I know better."
Mm-hmm.
But I was losing the crowd, and I flipped out, and I made the wrong call. So he's at least sincere and genuine in his apology. So I'll take the apology if I'm allowed to. You know,
at least it appeared sincere.
Genuine.
That's I didn't see that episode, so I can't speak on it. But
it's pretty.
I mean, dude is an actor, so
right.
I will say this, and this is one of the reasons why I want to have this conversation, because I always found the fascination with the word fascinating, because even in black culture, there are so many opinions on who should use it, who shouldn't use it, how it should be used. Should we be calling each other that? And when you're listening to this episode of the podcast, you can hear it in the podcast. There's a lot of different takes on how people should use it. Like, you hear black people saying, no, maybe we shouldn't use it. And you hear other black people saying, like, hey, it's our word, our right to use it when we want to use it.
Every take possible was illustrated in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things I did find interesting about this is, I don't know if you noticed this, Brian, but I noticed it when I was recording it and when I listened back to it. Almost, I want to say every white person on there had an experience when they were younger, the first time they heard the word, it was somebody they highly respected saying it,
Mm-hmm.
and that took effect on how they felt about the word. Like I think Jody B's, it was his uncles who he loved dearly. Jason, can you touch on who it was for you? Because I remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know Curtis. I know Curtis's mention was his uncle
and his grandfather.
Yeah,
You know, he mentioned
with
his
two different
grandfather
takes.
was a sharecropper, and used it differently in the way than his uncles did, who was more hateful. For me, the only person in my family I've ever heard use that word is my grandpa, who's no longer alive. And like I said, I remembered immediately on more than one occasion he said it. And there's two things with this. One, like I remember immediately my mom shutting him up all of the maybe 2 or 3 times I heard him say that, right? So I knew right away when I heard that there was something wrong with what he was saying. And I was probably like, actually, I could tell you that it was in 1983 because the Dolphins were playing in the Super Bowl. I want to say it was the Dolphins and the Vikings. So about 82, whatever year that was, the Dolphins Vikings, I want to say.
I think
that's no, that was Dolphins. That was Dolphins 49ers. It was a couple years before that. It was if I'm remembering correctly, it could have been an AFC championship game, but nonetheless, I was probably like 7 or 8. And I remembered hearing him say the word. My mom immediately shut him up. But the other thing that I remember, I didn't say on the show, is like in later years when I would bring that up to my parents, like my mom would say, well, he mellowed in his later years, blah, blah, blah. And then they would, I had other family members explain it away as like, well, he owned a barbershop and black people robbed the barbershop. So, you know,
that makes it right. That's okay.
They kept robbing his store, you know, and it's like, so when I heard that, obviously as like a probably 11-year-old kid, you think that and you're like, oh, okay, that justifies it. And it probably did for me, you know, because obviously I trust the people that said it to me. Right. So, you know, and then you kind of realize after a few years, I'm like, yeah, it's probably not a really fantastic excuse.
Right.
And like, so it bothers me because it tarnishes the way that I felt about my grandfather. Right. And I think that one of the things that I talked about a lot on the show is like, as the white person's experience with the, you know, how people deal with racism in their own family. I think I tried to make an analogy that probably wasn't the best analogy, but like it's like what I had said was like, imagine like if I found out that my uncle was protesting Brown versus Board of Education. I skip by my own part because I hate watching myself on these videos. But like I only watched mine. Yeah. I watched about 3 minutes of mine. I'm like, I can't take my own. I got to skip past it. But
I look sexy.
But like people have to make a choice. Okay. And one thing I do remember that I said for sure is like, people have to make a choice. They either have to make a choice to say, hey, I'm going to say that this was wrong. And I don't care if my family hears me say it. And I'm going to stand my ground, because you have to take ownership. Like if you're going to accept, as a white person, if you're going to accept the fact that you were born with certain privileges in this country, you also have to take responsibility for the things that may not have been so perfect, and be accountable for those as well. So you don't just get to do one and not the other. The phone works 2 ways. So, but like people make the opposite choice a lot. And the opposite choice is, instead of saying, yes, it was wrong, and I completely condemn that, and I still loved my grandfather, but I'm not proud of it, and he was wrong, and I'll go to my grave saying he was wrong and apologizing for it. The other issue is people say, Jake, justify it. They say, oh, but it was different. Oh, but it was this. Oh, but it was that. Oh, but it was, you know, he didn't really mean it. You know, I didn't have a racist bone in his body. He just, blah, blah. And the second stage to that second example, I'm sorry for stepping in a little bit, Mikey. That part is dishonest and it's wrong, and it needs to go away from our culture.
Yeah.
So Haas and Dutch and Herf, you heard most of it. what did you guys think about my take on it when like Delvin asked like, should black people say it amongst black people and stuff like that? Like should black people say it at all? Like my take was, for the people who haven't heard it yet, I just realized that is kind of dickish that I just kind of pigeonhole it so only people that haven't seen it know what we're talking about. My take on it is, I believe that black people should have autonomy and should have the decision-making tools individually about whether or not they can or cannot say it, or should not say it. What do you guys think of that take?
Want to go first?
Because
Why are you being so quiet? Oh, are you on
Go ahead.
mute? Okay.
Go
Well, he
ahead.
wasn't asking me, so I don't say that.
Well, I thought Mikey's comments, and I actually, like Brian, I think I still have like 3 or 4 minutes of yours to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But I did hear the vast majority of yours. I think that your comments echoed the first guy, the light-skinned dude, mixed guy.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
No, that's I was going to say the same thing, is that like you and Mike have pretty much the same outlook on it. Mike, I think, is a little bit more extreme than you.
Mm-hmm.
Angry black man vibe.
Yeah, but basically the same outlook.
Who was the dark-skinned dude who had the hat on?
Akeem.
That motherfucker was deep. Like
I was like, oh shit, here go Dutch again.
I really enjoyed his take. I really did. Like I already knew what Haas was going to say. Like I didn't even watch Haas's part, to be honest with you, except for like the first couple minutes, because I've heard that for 3 years. So like every day I hear that, I've heard that. So I kind of know I'm going to, but I was driving and I wanted to skip through and hear the people who I didn't know.
Did you actually answer Brian in Dutch, or did y'all just spin off into something else? I didn't hear y'all actually.
No,
y'all just said, the first guy. Like you guys didn't actually answer.
Yeah, but like I thought your answer was like his. I thought it was fine. Like it's, first of all, it's your opinion. So that's number one. Number two is
the question is, do you think that individual black people should have the autonomy to choose? That's the question.
Yeah, of course. I think white people should have nothing to do with the conversation whatsoever. You know, white people would try to keep that word. And again, that's something I've never seen. I think the more dangerous thing is that most white people that I know, they realize that word's bad, but they do the other shit that's more covert.
The thugs.
And the covert stuff, like, you know, war on crime, black on black crime, that sort of stuff. Those things to me are way more damaging because they are able to slip past the goaltender in settings where black people are not around. You know, like I have many times been in situations where people will tell abhorrent racist jokes or gay jokes or whatever, and they always look around the room first, you know, to see if
the
is there a Chinese guy in the room before I tell this Asian joke. Go ahead.
Classic joke is gee, how does every black joke starts?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I've never heard that one, but you're right.
Looking over each shoulder before you start talking again.
Yeah.
I will say this. I found it fascinating, the responses I got to this episode, because all were positive. That's a good thing. But it was interesting to see who people gravitated towards. And one of the things I thought for sure was going to happen was people were going to be pissed off at certain segments, particularly Jody B's on from Pro Boys. And
is that the guy with the beard?
No, he's Arkansas.
Yes.
Oh, I must have not.
Dude that got his face shot off.
Yes. But what's interesting about his segment is a lot of people liked it because he was brutally honest.
Yeah.
To it, and when me and him talked about it, because like his, much like yours, Jason, was like 2+ hours long of us just talking.
Was this a white guy or a black guy?
White guy.
I must not. Was he last?
He was just before Mikey.
I don't even remember seeing him, so I have to admit I missed that.
I didn't watch. I listened, but Jody B, Po Boy, like he's the one that you.
I know who they are. Yeah, the Polish podcast. Yeah.
Well,
I know
I'm sure you've heard the getting his face shot story.
Yeah.
But he was the one that he talked about being homeless himself and being able to make fun of homeless people.
Yes.
That's got to be the most standout point that would make you remember his side of it.
Yeah, I'll have to pay attention to that because I didn't.
He's right before Haas. It's Haas and then me, and then it's over.
Yeah,
but
somehow when I was skipping forward, I must have accidentally skipped further than I thought. So more to listen to. Yay!
So Mikey, to answer your question,
yes, sir.
I definitely respect yours and Lacombe's take on it. White people have no business using it, taking it back, or anything like that.
Why would you want it back?
That's and why should white people be able to take it back?
People feel that I think I said this on Delvin's podcast on the episode, was that a lot of white people feel entitled to having whatever they want because they've had whatever they want,
I said that too.
Systemically for so long. They've been included, they've been thought of, they've been catered to in so many ways, and it's so prevalent that it's like blinking. It's like, what do you mean I can't say it? And what do you mean I can't say it? The finish of that sentence to me is, I'm white. I could
exactly
I can say what I want. I can.
So, all right. First of all, Frustrated Atheist. We're talking about Delvin's episode, Delvin Cox Experience, episode number 200, where it's a 3.5 hour conversation with many people about the N-word. That's the episode that we're talking about. No,
good boy.
Being being me, like I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and say that I've never said it or anything like that. I have in my early years, I have used it in a malicious intent, but I've grown. I've learned. I've learned how malicious it actually is. Right. Mikey, one thing in your conversation that struck me that I related with was, how you felt about using the F word, not the 4-letter F word, but the 3-letter F word. Kind of the same thing. Yeah. How you used to say it, but you've grown and learned, and now you don't anymore.
I've learned to be responsible with my speech going forward.
Exactly, and that's how I am with this. And luckily, I've been that way for a long fucking time. But yeah,
do you feel like that's like PC culture, like encroaching on your First Amendment rights?
No, not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Because also as stated, in many previous conversations, the First Amendment goes as far as your nose.
Right.
It's you have the right to say it, but you also have the right to
the consequences
to get your ass whooped for the consequences. Everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, coming at me.
I could see how it could be misconstrued to a point. As far as being a white person, be like, oh, well, it's okay if I say it because I've got the pass from so and so. But at the same, like, no, that's not the point. That's not the point that's being made.
And that's non-transferable anyway. It ain't
exactly.
It ain't a bus pass. It ain't a transfer on the CTA, dude.
If Delvin gives me the pass, Mikey and Big Haas could still kick my ass.
We will.
That's
hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute here. I don't think Mikey could kick Brian's ass though. But just side note to that.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I may not kick his ass, but we gonna fight.
We're gonna find out.
I know. I'm just teasing Mikey.
Hey, he definitely has the forearms to fucking pretzel my ass up in a heartbeat. Right. I'm watching. He over here kind of casually flexing. I got just vein popping and shit. I'm like, oh, that motherfucker got super.
I just always picture in my head
I'm
like
just a little dehydrated.
Kevin Hart punching Kevin Hart punching Hulk Hogan or something like that. But
Hey, you know, some of
I'm
this,
not.
like,
I'm not short. Where do you
I
get this?
wasn't talking about you specifically there. That was not a comment about you.
Oh, I was
gotta
like,
think of it
I'm
like
not
this.
little.
it's like
but
it's
the-
like
oh,
Toby.
go ahead.
It's like Toby. Nguyen.
Toby Mac.
No, this new rap artist that's taking the world by storm. He's got a
Oh,
song. His name
Ingwe.
Toby Nigwe. He's
Ingwe.
got a song that says, "Try Jesus, don't try me,
Great song.
because I throw hands." You know, you can't be like,
He's
"Oh,
amazing.
Darnell in 6th grade said I could say it, so I'm saying it." No. Darnell just got your teeth tested.
I mentioned that I mentioned that like when I was in the when I was in the rap community that I used to I was given the pass by multiple people, like multiple different groups. And like even the couple times where I would use it with the A at the end in those groups, it just never sat right with me.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like it never felt good. And I think it went back to what I had learned from my mom about it. You know, why would my mom shut my grandpa up about this? And then I'm going to say that even if I'm saying it in what I believe to be an endearing way, it still doesn't make any sense. And it was the first word that went through that transition with me, where now I'm at other words like gay. Like you can say gay in a conversation, but calling something gay, like as a substitute for dumb,
as a pejorative. Yeah.
yes, is it's not good to be used as proxy for something else, right? So, you know, and there's a lot of other terms with that. Like there's some terms that I think are still questionable, you know, like you know, my wife throws around the term wetback all the time, and she's Hispanic, so I suppose she can do that. But then, like, you know, but I find that term offensive. I find the FAG word offensive. I find, like, you know, remember Mike North in Chicago on sports radio?
Sportscaster.
Mike North used to say Chinaman every show, and he didn't just say it in a conversation. He said it as a hateful old bigoted fuck. Right? You know, and like and got zero consequences for it whatsoever. And when he did it, I was like, I don't like that. You know, it's so you have to it was the first word that I unsubscribed to. And I defriend you, like taking you off my wall, like the Geico commercial. And I'm always finding that there's more words that and sometimes I don't even have to be told about it. Sometimes I just think about it myself, like white trash, like we talked about the other day, Haas, right? Like I think white trash is if you really think about it, it's pretty offensive, not towards white people. It's offensive towards the community that you're demoting the white person to be now in the same community with. Oh, you're not good enough to be white. You're white trash, which makes me the same as who? Oh, non-whites. Ah, interesting. You know, so it's the first word I unsubscribe to. It won't be the last. I don't like the cancel culture that's attached to people using words in conversation. Not that word particularly, but it's something that white people shouldn't even have the slightest desire to keep.
But is it cancel culture, or is it just being held responsible?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
I was going to ask that.
it depends.
I have also.
You know, if you said it 15 years ago, and then there's no subsequent history of you being that way,
yeah,
then I agree with you.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you said it 15 years ago, and then you've
what,
been that way throughout your life after that, then guess what? You're being held responsible for being, as Mikey would say, irresponsible with your speech.
And I do agree 100% with what Frustrated Atheist said right there. And it's become even more so real.
I hate the R word so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate it so much.
But like
I had to talk with my son about that the other day. I had to talk to him about saying that when he's playing Apex.
Yeah, and libtard too, by the way. Obviously, if you're calling someone a libtard, but see, like there are people who. What my problem is with cancel culture is like I just said Chinaman, libtard, you know, and a couple and gay in the last 45 seconds in talking about the negative use of that word.
So you should be canceled.
So
No,
there
that's-
are people who will be like, oh, you're fucked up for doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That
But
I don't agree with.
That I don't agree with that either. I think that that's people who want to parse your language and not they're parsing your language in order to be harmful instead of
Learning.
taking the context and the nuance of what you're saying and and why you were saying what you were saying. That's different.
But that's
Now,
but that's
I will
no,
say
hold
this.
on, hold
though.
on. But that's
I will
but
say
that's,
this.
but that's having your cake
If you're
and eating
telling
it
me a
too.
story and the N word is in that story, you still don't say that. You don't say that word. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah. And I want to get there. I try to get there with other words, but and I realize there's other words that I need to get there too. But it's a process though, too, right? Like, you don't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm never saying FAG again when I was like 25 when I made this decision. And I probably said it like 30 times after that because it's just instinct, but there's got to be consequences for it though, too, because
Not
luckily
instinct,
for me,
not instinct. That's a bad habit.
I will say this: out of all those words, the one that always comes up as indefiably wrong is that N word.
Yeah.
Like there is no like
end of the
ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like even when people who want to say the word get caught saying the word, they don't. They almost never say, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." They know they shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
So they're
the one guy made a really good point too. He said a woman can call another woman a bitch.
Yes.
And it's cool. That's like a black guy using the N word with the A at the end to another black guy. That's like, you're my brother. We roll together. A girl can say that's my bitch. But if I say to you, you're a bitch, then I deserve the canceling.
Go ahead, Hurt.
No, I was just going to bring up a story that, so like one of the places I used to work, we'd sit at the railroad tracks on break time, and it was me and two dudes that would always go out to the tracks, smoke cigarettes, at the time. And, like the one dude was bitching about his girlfriend, whatever it was, and
Leaving the toilet seat up.
yeah, and I was a little too comfortable. And two dudes, both of the same nationality, and like they're bitching about the woman, and I was a little too comfortable. I was like, shit, whatever happened to it? Falling in love with a ninja with a bus pass. Although I didn't say ninja.
Right.
And
did I feed you that word recently?
Yeah, which and that's one thing. Like I don't like that either.
We catch you though. We catch you though.
I think that that's just a substitute getting an inconsequential pass. But anyway, going back to the story, one dude got pissed off. He's like, whoa. Like, what did you just say?
Mm-hmm.
And the other dude's like, oh, come on, and it was, complete opposite sides of the spectrum in that moment. And me at the time, it was like, yeah, all I did is quote the movie, that's it. And, dude stayed pissed off. Other dude was cool, so it's, at that point, it's like, all right, I guess it's really not right for me to use that in any context.
I got a couple notes here. So like the gift of the internet is we're all so much more connected than we have ever been previously in history. Like there wasn't a time previously where the three of us in 3 different cities can connect weekly and have this. Like this wasn't a thing previously. So with that interconnectivity comes, unfortunately, a greater responsibility for being as earnest as possible. And I say that to say we have to mean what we say and say what we mean, especially when we're only able to use our words to communicate with each other. Yes. So I may not be able to fucking sit through an 18-hour podcast to catch the entire spectrum of how you said that. So whether it's in 18 hours or whether it's in 18 seconds, it has to mean the same. And that's a responsibility for all of us going forward using the internet. Because I mean, if you want to just like talk to people and say whatever you want, then you can. It's only conversation by conversation, right? And you can't really be taken out of context without somebody like Dutch said this, Haas said this, Delvin said this. But then it's like, oh well, he probably just misunderstood me or got it wrong. But when we're so used to using the internet for conversation, that's also forever because it's the internet.
Yeah, and
those words aren't going anywhere.
And you know, this conversation took place live in real time, and it was probably 8 years ago now, maybe 9. So if that's any kind of, not that I'm saying it makes anything right or wrong, but
right.
just to like, you know, it's not like we were sitting there on our phones like.
Right. We're in a new age.
Yeah.
And with a new age comes new rules. And we can't sit back and say, fuck that, I'm not changing my rules. Because I was a frequent R word and F word user. Frequent, because I'm an online gamer. And that was the culture. And not to excuse it, but I didn't stop other people from doing it. I do now. Or I just don't engage at all, and I don't talk to strangers on the internet on video games. But I was a part of it.
So how does that happen? How does that happen? Like if you're in game chat, you know, whatnot, and somebody gets out of line, how does that happen from you? So do you immediately?
I shame the shit out of them.
I was going to say, do you immediately go to, hey, fuck you, or do you start with, hey, dude, that's not cool, let's not do that?
I never start with the hey, let's be cool thing, because it's usually a bunch of racist kids from the South. So it's always I'm into like, wow, look at the guy on the bottom of the leaderboard dropping R bombs. That's crazy.
And they know that it's not. They know that it's not.
Wow, he's got no kills and 3 assists, but he has the nerve to talk about people with disabilities like he's some sort of champion. Like, listen to this guy. And then they're like, oh, shut the fuck up, man. It's not like the dirty N-word anyway. I was like, oh, there he is. How many other ones you got, buddy? And then I used to like want to do that as like a streaming thing, just exposing racist kids online. But to get all my videos would get taken down. So I just figured, it's not worth it. And then I was like, you know what? This isn't worth my.
Goddamn, that brings up another question. Like, so, personally, I think that's a great idea. Dude, is that not a possibility because of censorship?
I'm glad you brought that up.
The problem is when kids are when kids are in game chat.
There's
speaking. The problem becomes they could have music playing from their phone. They could have they could get you in copyright issues by exposing the game chat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to go back through and edit all of that. I'm not going to like play for 2 hours and then edit out all the music from the chat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because if there's any music, if there's anything about kids or anything, the shit that people say on whenever people fucking tell me that fucking racism is done in America, I say, go into Call of Duty right now and go into game chat. Go in there right now. Just go. Don't even say anything. Just listen for 20 minutes and you will be fully assured that racism is alive and well.
I have a question for you, Mikey, because you, out of all people, might remember this. Do you remember, I think it was last year or the year before last, the situation with Sky Jackson, where she outed all her like high school friends saying the N-word and stuff like that on Instagram, and she's putting up videos and pictures of them saying the N-word?
Wow, I did not hear about that.
Yeah, it was like
who's Sky Jackson?
She was on one of those Disney shows.
That sounds familiar. Okay, yeah, okay. I was gonna say it sounds like a Disney actress name. They name them post hiring them. Oh, your name's gonna be Sky Jackson,
and it's SKAI.
Yes.
Aggressive.
She straight up went on Instagram outing all of her racist classmates.
Mm-hmm. She did an interview with Entertainment Tonight. It says ET's Melissa Johnson spoke with actress Sky Jackson, who has been using her platform to expose racism on social media. Jackson recently shared the Flash's Hartley Sawyer's past tweets, which included racist and misogynistic language. Sawyer has since been fired from the CW show.
Who was that actress play on that show? actor or actress? Is that a
That
man or a woman?
was a man. He was the
Hartley Sawyer.
If you watch the Flash TV show,
I did. Yeah.
he was elongated man.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like the.
All right, elongated man
That-
sounds like the worst
Yeah.
fucking villain ever.
No, he was a good
Sounds
guy.
Sounds like homeboy from fucking The Boys.
He looked like
it's-
you know. What he looked like. He looked
That's-
like the ShamWow guy.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
did.
that's like Meg getting her superpowers with long fingernails, like that. Like that. That's pretty
Elongated
fucking
man.
bad.
Happens when you can't get Plastic Man on your show.
Right.
You can't get Plastic Man. So let's get this.
All right, look,
knockoff
guys,
motherfucker.
we can't license Fantastic Four, so we're just gonna have to come up with this
Yeah.
bullshit.
my thing with the. And I don't know if you guys see this or not, but like as a white guy, like again, I've been in many situations where people and generally they don't use the N-word. Sometimes they do. Because I think for most people that's past the line. I at least in my anecdotal experience. But it's the stuff just short of that you hear all the time, right? But I remember I was sitting at a bar in Bakersfield, which is a very fucking racist town. And like the great part is that Melissa has actually realized this too, because I raised four biracial kids, two of whom are half African American. Like my oldest daughters are half black. So and I told her from the beginning, we're raising two black women in this town. This is a racist fucking town with MAGA flags everywhere. And like she's finally caught on to the fact that I wasn't bullshitting, right? Like a kid kicked my daughter at school and called her the N-word, and then she punched him and she got suspended. Shocking, isn't it?
That's how that works. That's how that works.
Yeah.
But then I went to the school, and guess what? That turned around real fucking quick because they weren't ready for a fucking white guy coming in there telling them what they should already fucking know. So they so
I'm sorry, but I would take a black mother over a white guy any day in that fight.
No, I think that that possibly so, but I don't think that they saw it coming because they probably figured that I was just going to explain it away, and I have no tolerance for it anymore. But the thing is, like, I was at a bar with Melissa called Vise, it's a real shithole, like where the seats are falling in, country bar.
The hoods are on the hook.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sitting there, and Kenny Chesney or whatever the fuck is playing. I don't know who Kenny Chesney songs are, but I'm guessing.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
So the guy sitting next to me, there's three people sitting next to me. One was an old lady, right? And the guy sitting right next to me is talking to these two other people, and I'm sitting there with Melissa, and we're having a drink.
My kid just got suspended for kicking an N-word.
And I'm dressed in a suit. Melissa's wearing her little dress because we're going to a wedding and we're early. This guy's talking to these two people, and he goes, well, it's something about Eddie Murphy, right? Harmless comment about Eddie Murphy. And the old lady says, who's Eddie Murphy? So I heard her say, who's Eddie Murphy?
What?
And I'm like, this lady, who the fuck do you not know who Eddie Murphy is, right? But then the guy leans over and he goes, he's a ninja. Using the other word, of course. And I turned to the guy immediately and I said, hey, no. I'm like, you got to be better than that. You're in fucking public place. Calm the shit down. He goes, what are you making such a big deal about it for? It's just a joke. And like, that's the thing. He's like, and then, so I start arguing with the guy and he's like, I don't have a racist bone in my body. And I'm like, then why did you say it that way?
Because your whole damn body's racist.
Yeah. If you just proved your own statement, right? And I'm like, but then the bartender comes to me. The bartender was a Hispanic girl, if I recall correctly. Bartender comes up to me and she goes, please stop causing problems here. Those people are regulars. Fuck you and your goddamn bar. Okay.
Word.
Like I'm causing a problem. And like, it's the same exact fucking thing that I have with my own family, especially last year during Black Lives Matter. And before that with Kaepernick, like I try to explain something to them and like one of my uncles literally said, there is no such thing as racism. It's all bullshit. And I'm like, you need to fucking educate yourself. And his son, my cousin, who's like 25, he hears his dad say that and he goes,
right.
Yeah.
The kids know better.
Right. And I'm like, come on, dude, you can't fucking just say, like, he didn't use the N-word, but he said, what I find that he did is because I find that to be more dangerous because they plausibly deny stuff. They justify things, you know, and like, I realized this on Facebook over the last 4 years of having these conversations that I'm not saying anything anymore. 100% of the time, I'm going to say something. I'll be respectful the first time. That's the difference between like the way me and Mikey you handle it, and that's fine. I'm not telling him how to handle it. I'm saying I'll say, look, don't do that.
I was respectful for 3 hours. You kiss my ass.
No, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like if he had called you that word, he's out immediately. You don't talk to my friends and my co-hosts that way. Doesn't happen. Sorry. Like when he told you to shut up, I was like, no, you don't get to say that.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you don't get to fucking say that.
Was that after I left?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Must have been.
It got worse, bro.
He's like, no, dude, shut
A
up.
lot
I'm like,
worse.
no, you don't get to say that. Right. So
I'm glad I wasn't on there.
but
you would have went just as nuclear as I did.
So well, that
Wait,
was the second
was
time.
this in the last episode you guys were talking about
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So so here's the conclusion to this is I'm not the troublemaker, right? Like in that particular context, I'm not the troublemaker. It's the person who says the comment who is the troublemaker. The person telling people not to say shit is somehow identified as the troublemaker these days, right? Like I get told that because I'm explaining Kaepernick's situation, I'm just explaining it and saying this is why. All right, well, nobody wants to, you know, the anti-Kaepernick comment was fine, but you explaining it's not fine
Because they want to stay in their
Wrong.
echo chamber.
Well, no, that's
Wrong.
I've spoken that plenty of times about Kaepernick, and it's more respectful to Neil than anything else. He got the advice,
Thank
From
you,
a
Nate.
voter.
Exactly correct, Nate. Thank you very much.
and it's it's still bullshit. Like, well, why? Explain yourself. Why is it still bullshit? Because you've got nothing to stand on here. Like you've been presented the facts, you've been presented the reasoning behind the story behind. So why are you still sticking to this?
I have
Can I
a
ask
quick
you a question, Delvin?
Can I
Yes.
tell a
Yeah.
quick, I'm gonna tell a quick story real quick.
I'm speaking.
When I was I love her voice.
I might have to unsnap her. I might have to unsnap
snapped
her.
her. No,
Oh, way to
We
go.
got,
I
we
was
got the
rooting
sound
for
bite
rest of
before I
us.
did it. We got the sound bite before I did it.
I'm speaking. So
uniquely.
I was living in St. Louis.
she
right?
does have a very fucking sexy voice. Just so
I was
you know.
living in St. Louis. It's like 2013. I wasn't
Fuck
driving.
St. Louis.
Sorry, that's where I'm from.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
I don't know. No offense.
Well, you
I
should have
can't
been
help
born
it.
somewhere else. How about
I just hate the city. That's all.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. Anyway, had it on deck. Big boy. So like because of racist quote unquote friends, I left New York and I went to go live with family. I'm working at the grocery store, started at fucking minimum wage, and it sucked. And I didn't have a car. I didn't have money to get a car, so I was walking everywhere. But there was a bar across the street. So I would go into the bar with some people from work, and then it was like a fucking walk home. So we started going there like, I don't know, a couple times a month, and that turned into every week, and then that turned to a couple times a week. We became regulars. Us people from the grocery store would come over after our shift, go have a drink, and then either take the bus home or walk home for the people that live close by. And then that was 2013. In 2014, Michael Brown was shot by Darren. I have a small dick and I'm scared of everything.
That's a long last name.
Yeah, it's weird. So the Ferguson shit happens, and the mood of that bar, which is owned by white people, and the regulars were white people, but they had grown to know, and I was friends with them all this, and for a year at that point. But once that happened, the mood shifted. As soon as Black Lives Matter started happening, the mood shifted. And this fucking giant fat piece of shit started populating the bar. And he started talking shit to me because they had like a little patio set up. So we're sitting out smoking and drinking. And he's talking shit about this, talking shit about that. And I'm like, yo, fuck you, dude. Oh, yeah? Well, why don't I just go to the fucking trunk? There's like fucking 10 people out there, right? There's 10 people out there. Everybody heard him say, I'm going to go to the trunk. Me being me. I said, you pudgy bastard, I'll put a row of Hershey Kisses around your trunk, and you won't be able to get to your fucking gun because your pudgy ass will be fighting with the rappers the whole time. Oh, you're not worth my time, blah, blah, blah. But they all heard him threaten to go get his gun and shoot me. And this was the place that I had been populating for at least a year at this point. And I knew everybody that was out there with me, and everyone told me to calm down.
Of course.
And then I think,
Shocking, isn't it?
and then later on that night, I think some N bombs came out, and I'm just like, you know what? Fuck that shit. And I left because I was with like my cousin and my sister on the night that he decided to wild out.
Yeah. But here's the thing, man.
They said, don't you ever go in there again because these country boys will get you.
And that's the thing is like Ice Cube said, when your SKIN is your SIN, no matter what the situation is, for a lot of people, you're going to always be in the wrong because for them, your melanin content constitutes guilt over anything else.
It's worse than that, Haas, because they already knew me. Everybody there already knew me. But
they thought you were one of the good ones.
But after the Black Lives Matter shit started popping up, then it became, why is he here?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, and Delvin, I know we're getting kind of long here, but it is what
That's
it
what
is.
she said.
Yeah, she did. She tells me that every Saturday night. But I do want to say one thing. Real
That's
quick.
nice.
And then I want to ask Delvin a question, and then anybody else obviously can say whatever they want. I will say that I kind of changed an opinion. You know, I think that I still feel this way to a degree, but my opinion has softened a bit on some of the people that I heard talk about on your show, Delvin. The role of 90s, specifically 90s gangster rap in popularizing the word. And like, I think I made a comment like, you know, yeah, I think they have a lot of accountability to that. And, you know, maybe they say it wasn't made for me, but they took my money and I'm sure they cashed my check. And all that remains true. But after hearing other perspectives on that particular conversation, I think I'm willing to readjust that comment to a degree. Obviously, I have some thought to do on it still, but you know, because of the diversity of the opinions and the way that people laid stuff out, I like to hear people's opinions that are different from mine, right? You know, especially in that type of conversation. So I appreciate that. But what I want to ask you though is a two-sided question. One, how did this experience make you grow? And two, what are your fucking thoughts on the N-word, Delvin?
Okay, I can give you two.
Well, you passing the buck to everybody else. Now, how you feel, partner?
What voice was that? What's that?
That was from what movie was that from? Where he calls partner, and then he beats him up. Was it Menace to Society? You gonna have to come correct, partner. And he punches him in the face.
Okay, the first question. Let me answer that first. I think this experience helped me grow with people that I knew already. In terms of hearing the stories from each person made me get a clearer understanding from what they've been through and why they may feel the way they feel. And them seeing my reaction to their stories, whether on video or not, helped them understand why the word is important. You get what I'm saying? Like there's moments that were recorded that I didn't air where some members cried. You're like, damn, like this is like it's fucked up that
Right.
this word means so much to you and what you go through. And like I tried to be unbiased as possible with this. And I had a reason for doing this whole series, and I can tell you right now what the reason was. So I know we're wrapping up, but I think this puts a nice bow on it telling this story. So me and my son have a really good relationship. I talk to my son a lot about different things, and he's now 15 years old. So he comes to me and talks to me he comes to me one day, and we're having a conversation about his old school he used to go to because his mom is like this kind of, she's Spanish. My son's part Hispanic, so she's kind of religious and stuff like that. She made him go to this like religious church school bullshit, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna get why I say bullshit in a minute. So we ended up taking him out of the school because I didn't like the school and how everything went to school. I didn't feel like they was teaching him right. So he homeschools now and stuff like that, which is cool. But so I had a conversation with my son. He was like, you know, Dad, I never liked that school. I'm like, so why? Why you didn't like the school? Well, there was a lot of things that went on and stuff like that. And I found out about the N-word there. I'm like, what do you mean? See, I heard you talk about it on one of your podcasts, how the N-word is. This is before we even did this series and stuff like that. How the N-word is hurtful and things like that. And I wanted to talk to you about what happened to me. So my son tells me the story about how he's in this school, right? This is like I said, it's a church school, stuff like that. And the kids there are mostly Hispanic and white. He's part black, he's part Hispanic. But his skin tone is almost like a Spanish kid. He's very light skinned. So looking at him, you can't tell he's black.
Right.
So these kids would come up to him every day and say the N-word. All the time. They say it to him. They say, what's up, my N-word? Stuff like that. Say the N-word all the time. He listens to an episode of the podcast with me talking about it. He finds out what it means.
Right.
He goes to school the next day. He's like, hey, we shouldn't be saying this. You know, they're like, why? And they're like, why? We shouldn't be saying it. He's like, because it's not right. And you guys aren't black.
Right.
Well, why can you say it? He said, well, because my dad's black. My dad's black and I'm black. And I think he's like, it is offensive. So and then his kids, friends there are kind of bullying him about it. Like, yeah, but you're not really black and this and that. So my son does the responsible thing. And this is me finding out about this like this year. It tells his teacher. His teacher's response was, well, why are you saying it? Why does it even matter? This came from his teacher.
I would have been Jason Dutch up in that damn parent-teacher conference.
Now, I got him out that school for other reasons. I didn't know nothing about. I got him out that school for other reasons because I didn't know this happened. But when I heard this, my blood began to boil.
Yeah, because that's your baby.
Yeah, he's my son, and I know that even though my son doesn't look black, he's going to experience a lot of things from the black experience. His sister's my complexion. He experienced a lot of things. He sees what his dad goes through. He understands the black pain, the black struggle. So I want to do this podcast for him so when he gets older, even now, I made him listen to it now, like he can go listen to this and get every perspective on the word and make his own value judgment with it.
Yo, you deep, Delvin. You deep as hell. I appreciate
we like you,
man.
Can I ask you a follow-up to that before you
Sure.
move to the next question?
And then we can
Actually,
go home.
to all three of you, not Brian. I once saw a guy, a
Sorry,
black
Brian.
dude I was friends with, who had a mixed girlfriend, and
Biracial.
the abuse aside, she said the N-word. He told her not to say it. She said it again. He knocked her ass out. So obviously that part is
Wrong.
Way off the top. But the point is, he got mad enough because a girl who's half black, half white, used that word. What are you guys' thoughts on people who say mixed? Because the first guy on your show was mixed.
Biracial.
He said he was
Biracial,
mixed.
Biracial.
is mixed bad now? Because I didn't know that.
Paint is mixed. Kool-Aid is mixed. People are biracial.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
I have mixed kids, and I say that about them all the time. So I'll have to
It's
take that under advisement. That's news to me. but
Okay,
thank
just
you.
keep going. Just keep going.
But the point is, what are your thoughts on biracial kids are they allowed to use it or not, or is it like where they're at, the type of people they're around?
You want to be 100%? You want to be 100% honest with you?
Yeah. No
If you
lie.
if you are part black, America looks at you as full black.
You black.
Sure, white.
One drop.
Yeah,
One
I
drop.
agree
One
with
drop.
that. But we're
So,
talking about black people who are saying that.
So
to
if
them.
if you are looked at by America as full black and you are black in you can say whatever the fuck you want to say.
That's
you're
what I
dealing
would
with the
think.
same struggles and pains that we deal with. If
Yeah.
you're in that
Okay.
struggle with us, how dare anybody tell you how to feel about that?
And the guy who's telling her not to say it is a fucking piece of shit motherfucker anyway, because he's the same motherfucker who wants to put his hands on a woman
Yes.
for any reason ever.
Yeah.
Which tells you about the person.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a bad
Right.
he's a bad arbiter of the rule set that we're trying to
Yeah.
establish. So
Yeah.
he's the problem, not her. He's the
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Because-
I remembered that so blatantly because of the horror of it, right? But like also my daughters are just like her. So I've told them, if you want to use that word, to me it's fine, because the community is going to look at you like you're black. You know, the whole, what is that rule that they say, the
One drop.
one
One
drop.
drop.
Yeah. Thank you. But there might be black people who, you know, might tell you not to use it. So just be careful what you do, because I don't want to see you get hurt, because I remembered that so vividly from when I was like 22.
But he's a dick anyway.
Yeah.
And
Because
I don't
once you're like, even if you look white and nobody knows your parents are black, you know what I mean?
Clay Thompson.
As soon as you are found to have black DNA in your body, everything shifts
Yep.
for a lot of people. And
Yes.
you are looked at as black, and you know, unfortunately, that's how it is in many sectors of this, in many sections of this country and the world, so to speak. You know, if you really want to get down to it. And that being said, you know, if you're gonna say that word, you say it. I mean, like I said on the episode, you know, there's times where, you know, I used to say it a lot, and now I very rarely say it. And then even if I do say it, it is definitely not in mixed company.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
But that's an OG standard that the young kids don't understand.
Yeah. I will never say, I'll never forget when I lived out by DeKalb in a town called Waterman. It was me.
You know that's old dunk when you hear called Waterman.
Yeah. And there was a Casey's General Store. And if you're from the Midwest, you know what Casey's.
Ooh, Casey's
That's where
gives me
Brian hangs out there every night.
Yeah.
So I got one about a mile and a half from my house.
Yeah.
love
And
PTSD
if
with
you know anything about Casey's, you know they are famous for their breakfast pizza.
I
Never
know
thought
they got
about that
worms.
Casey's pizza is that shit.
Is the bomb, the breakfast pizza. So,
I know they have worms and they have shotgun shells behind the fucking counter. That's
yes.
it.
Yes.
Correct.
And I went in one morning because in that town it was me, it was a black guy, his wife, and their son. So it was 4 of us in that whole town that were black. And I walked in, and there's this black guy paying for gas that I'd never seen. And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh shit, another ninja." And I looked at him, and there's like 6 or 7 white people in the store. And I'm like, I am not your ninja. You don't say that. You don't say that in mixed company.
So I got one more question.
Sure.
Not for Dutch, but for everybody else.
Wait, but Delvin ain't
He
off the
felt-
hook yet from the last
No.
question, though.
I
So
felt-
just remember.
No, but dude, I got to piss so fucking bad.
Real bad.
Okay.
Me too.
So no offense to Jason at all here, but
Let me get him off the screen.
In reference to his topic on Delvin's show, he used the word ninja quite a bit. So what is the thought process behind that? If when you guys hear a dude like me or a dude like Jason, a white dude, say ninja or nephew or anything like that, what is
Canadian?
Mondays?
Yeah.
Like what is the thought process there? Like, is it all right? He's not saying the word, or is it all right? Yeah, he's getting away with saying the word without saying the word.
Context.
That's when I put the warning shot across the bow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you mean?
Yeah. It's all about context.
Please clarify, because I don't care if they like I'm sorry, you're gonna have to say N word. I need that as a qualifier, because because that for me shows me that you're willing to say something that is less cool, but you're doing it out of respect of me.
Right.
Yes.
I need that. If I don't have that, then I can't. I'll take it for someone who is too lazy to be respectful.
So to take it further, like you said, no, I got to hear the word. I got to hear N word.
Right.
How about just instead of ninja, nephew, N word, anything like, hey, yeah, this dude I know over here, or yeah, my buddy over there. Isn't that better?
Not using any like alliterative of the N word is better.
Yeah.
Just saying that dude perfectly conveys the point that you're trying to make. I don't need you to try to ninja me.
No, that's
the dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just say the dude. I don't need you to try to relate to me, because that's another thing that we don't really have time for. But I don't try to buddy me, because I know, like, when I walk into like a corporate atmosphere, or if I'm doing IT help for somebody, or I'm doing something, hey, what is up, brother? And I'm like, okay. Do you say that? Do you say that to everybody that walks in here, or just me?
So that that kind of leads to my point of, all right, so at work you're talking about somebody like, yeah, the dude over there. Yeah, which dude? There's 7 dudes. The one with the beard. Yeah, there's 3 dudes with a beard.
The black dude.
Yeah, it's the black dude, man.
The black dude doesn't offend me though.
Black dude works.
Right.
I and I say that to people all the time. They're like, oh, that manager, he's the he's got glasses. He has a ponytail. The black one. Like, I'm not offended by being called black. I know I'm black. That's not offensive to me. It's not a slur to be black to me. It's something to be proud of.
I've had this conversation.
About, like, if someone were to say, I'm just trying to understand the question. Are you asking, like, if I was at the gas station and I saw you and Haas, and I said, the guy in the black shirt, right? And then you were like, well, there's 2 people in black shirts, and I was talking about Haas, and I said the ninja.
Yeah,
that's something that I would never utter out of my mouth, because contextually
that's uppercut territory.
Contextually, I'm trying to get away with. I'm trying to get away with something that I'd be trying to get away with something that I knew I wasn't supposed to get away with, so I'm getting away with it anyway, and I'm cheating, right? Mm-hmm. So that context would be just as bad as saying the word.
Yeah, so, and then also, if I don't know you,
oh my goodness,
you definitely can't, because then I know what you're trying to do.
No, I obviously I'm not going to be like, hey, yeah. So about this ninja over here.
Yeah.
That's an ass whooping. But as far as like in a conversation like that, as far as a descriptor, like, all right, I got 2 dudes. One's built like me. The other one's built like me. We both have the same facial hair, everything else. We're in work uniforms.
Right.
The black
one on the right.
All right.
I feel like
the ones in front of the other ones.
In situations like that.
Are we talking my right or stage right?
All I'm saying is this. In situations like that, I feel like if your vocabulary isn't expanded enough where you can't use a better differentiator than Ninja, then we got to talk about your relationship with the Merriam-Webster
Well,
dictionary.
that's the thing. Like I've had this conversation a few different times with people on my show, because I have the occasional race relations and whatnot episodes, and it just fascinates me.
Yeah,
You know, it like, I mean, shit. You guys know me from the internet.
I met you in person.
No,
Yeah, we've seen you in person.
I know that.
I
know
touched
that,
your skin.
but for
softly.
During
yeah, I still got to scrub my hand from that. You know,
during COVID, I touched him.
But like, yes, I mean, we all know each other. Yes, I have met the three of you one time in person. Delvin, I've never met in person at all.
You're the lucky one. You're lucky.
But it's just, you know, I have that conversation, and just like Delvin's episode, like I've gotten different responses from different people, some the same, some different, you know, but it's just, I don't know, I guess what it boils down to is, like, if nobody has the conversation, nobody's going to get past it.
Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
And that's why I hate those people that say, "Don't, if you stop talking about it," like people like stopping talking about cancer has led to great leaps and bounds in research.
Abstinence.
Fuck that. Just like Susan B. Komen or whatever, breast cancer research, like they raise money for awareness.
Exactly.
Right.
Who the fuck doesn't know about breast cancer?
Exactly.
Who does not know about breast cancer?
No, fuck that. All diseases matter.
Right.
No.
It's like abstinence. It's like
you would never say that to somebody that has a breast cancer awareness shirt on.
I
know
what you're
saying.
He has
I know what you're
autism.
saying.
My son has autism. What about him? All diseases matter.
But it's the same thing as like as far as race relations, it's race relations abstinence only.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Like,
I'm sorry. You got to clarify. Race relations abstinence only. What is
because abstinence only is if you just don't have sex, then I don't have to teach you about sex.
If you don't talk about race, then we don't have to teach you.
Oh, all right.
Learn anyway, because we all know that we didn't necessarily learn about sex from our mom and dad.
Sorry, I'm a little dense sometimes.
But, all right, we're getting close to 4 hours. Delvin, answer the rest of the goddamn question.
Okay. My opinion on the N-word is simply like this.
Please, with sugar on top.
And then I'm cutting the feed.
Is this. I'm going to speak to white people for a second. White people, black people are not stupid. We know that you've used the word before.
Whoa, hold on.
I can't believe Dutch said that.
Yeah.
No, that was Stessel.
No,
that was
I know. I was giving you an out.
It was Emmett Tucker said that there.
I'm not looking for an out.
I think, but my point is this. We know that white people have used the word before. History books have shown us that white people have used the word before. We know that there are white people who like to sing along with the rap songs, stuff like that. The key to this whole thing is respect.
Word.
You have to show respect when you're around black people. And my advice, because I can't make we as black people know we can't make white people not say the word.
Right.
But my advice to white people is take it out of your vocabulary. Take it out of your vernacular. Because you may slip up and say that word to the wrong black person. And once that happens, they're not responsible for what they do. I look at it like this. Freedom, you're allowed to say whatever you want to say. This is America. It's a free country. But on that same note, people are allowed to react however they want to react to what you say.
Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences.
LeVar Burton.
And you might catch a freaking lead infection or a knuckle.
Habitually, he's a habitual line stepper.
And I think we're not going to let anybody else talk. Thanks everybody for checking us out in the chat. We love you guys. Make sure you guys go. Herfcast. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Herfcast on your favorite
shows.
to the on your favorite podcatcher. It's there right now. And the Delvin Cox Experience. And also, please visit www.patreon.com/digonamerica so we can get more money.